So let's start with what we got from Facebook last night. We see Amazon will come out with their results tonight, finally finishing off the FANG group. A beat on the top line, a beat on the bottom line, but pretty much Alphabet right now is the only exception of a company that investors haven't sold following these results.
Yeah, although, again, I know we keep going back to Snap and Twitter last week, but I'm going to go again back to Snap and Twitter last week, because what's interesting here is that a rising tide does not seem to be lifting all boats. Yes, it did last quarter, right? Ad sales are strong at the social media companies, and the question is what's going to happen going forward. And Facebook is not super sanguine about that. It seems like one of the things that's hitting it right is these app tracking changes, right? And I saw
Apple, among other places.
At Apple, among other places, but just the general changes. I saw a figure this morning that users are opting to give apps permission to track their behavior only 25% of the time, not just at Facebook, but across. But maybe it's affecting Facebook more, who knows, than it's affecting some of these other companies.
Yeah, I think we could pretty much say confidently that Snap had the best quarter among Twitter and Facebook. I mean, Snap's quarter was a true full-on blowout here, and you're having Facebook, I think, mirror some of the comments Twitter made about a slowdown in revenue growth later this year. But one of the two takeaways. One, the Reels business, Facebook's Reels business seems to be coming on strong, which raises the question, can Snap continue the momentum it saw in the most recent quarter as Reels come on strong? And then Mark Zuckerberg talking at length about the metaverse.
Oh, yeah, we gotta get into that.
Sent me back to researching what is the metaverse and what companies could partake in that.
All right, so everyone, the assigned homework now is you got to go home, you got to read Snow Crash, and then we can come back and as a class discuss.
Wait, we got to read which?
Snow Crash.
Okay.
What? Book Julie Hyman doesn't know Snow Crash?
I'm surprised.
Goodness.
I saw Spider-Man Into the Metaverse with my kids.
Neil Stephenson Snow Crash, like from 1990s.
I'm writing this down.
So there you go. So there's the origins, really, of the metaverse, and you can sound very, fancy, whatever. Right. So I think what's interesting about the metaverse commentary, Sazi, 20 times it comes up on the earnings call, and there was a question that came to Mark Zuckerberg, came to the management team, but Zuckerberg talked at length from an analyst, basically about what's the business model there. And we all remember the famous moment when Zuckerberg said to Orrin Hatch, Senator, we sell ads. That's how we make money. And his conversation about how the metaverse fits in was this long discussion of the portability of your online identity across physical and virtual spaces. And he's talking about immersion as, kind of the key point to it. It all sounds very exciting, but it really wasn't about Facebook making a ton of money, which they did once again.
Yeah, well, the way I took it, it is him trying to market perhaps more Oculus glasses and selling virtual reality devices. Yeah. But are we at that point? What now? Let's say I am at home at work. I am watching Julie Hyman and Miles Udlin on here. I can really port myself onto set here. I like your jacket. I can click on it and buy something from Bonobos. I don't know, but it's very interesting. I think it's very fascinating and a potential opportunity for chip makers. NVIDIA has been talking about the metaverse.
Can we back up just 1 second?
Okay.
We all spent the last year at home. I don't want a metaverse. I want to be in person with people.
Okay.
Forget about the metaverse. Oh. Let's live in real life. That's okay. Sorry.
We got to read the book
Rant
now.
Over.
Wow.
Well, so again, so we played.
I know it's not exactly the same thing.
We played this. We played The Sims. Yes.
I know of it.
Okay. So The Sims, there's like a metaverse, like a very lo-fi version of it. But to your point, Sazi, I feel like we pretty much live in a metaverse of sorts.
Wow.
I mean,
that's deep.
Yes.
That's deep.
Yes, fair. I get what you're saying, but I don't want to push it too far.
Right. No.
I prefer not.
I agree. I guess.
But I'm a boomer. So as you said yesterday, I'm a Gen Xer.
I know you say he wants to sell Oculus glasses. Then he talked about selling devices, but ultimately says we want to keep those things inexpensive. So I don't think it's about $1,500 Oculus glasses. I guess it kind of comes to like a philosophy 101 question: is slacking and broadcasting this onto the web, where most people experience us as digital avatars. I mean, the vast majority of people who know I exist have never met me in person and never will, right? Sure. And the same's true for both of you. So isn't that a metaverse of sorts?
Never thought about it that way.
I'm just saying. All right, let's. I personally, I would do this all show, but we have other stuff to get to. Let's go to Qualcomm. They're out with their latest results last night, and I know you guys will have more, Julie and Brian, from your conversation with Qualcomm yesterday afternoon. But let's just kind of go through the top line numbers here, Julie. I mean, the themes continue: beat on the top and bottom.
Yeah, beat on the top and bottom for Qualcomm. It's all about 5G for the company. But as Cristiano was, the CEO was quick to remind us, they're trying to branch out beyond 5G, right? Beyond smartphones. Even though Qualcomm is far and away the largest smartphone chip maker in the world, he was quick to say, well, we're building up our revenue from the Internet of Things, from automotive, from other types of chips. So that's a message that Qualcomm really wants to get across. And the revenue is, to be fair, growing from those other areas, and it's growing more quickly than the smartphone chips are growing.
Yeah, and I think that message is getting across here. Shares of Qualcomm up 3% in the pre-market. And we'll have more from our chat with Cristiano Amon, CEO of Qualcomm, later on. But I really thought what he said about the chip shortage was fascinating. He sees light at the end of the tunnel, and he's not the only one in the industry to voice that recently.
But at the same time, he sees demand continuing, which was also interesting. Even as supply improves, he says demand's going to continue to be robust.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, though, we're starting to see a few more folks talk about the end of the demand. And look, I mean, these supply problems will not last forever. They showed up in the GDP report this morning, but they will not last forever, and we're starting to hear some of that from executives. Another company, Sals, I know you have your eye on very closely, Ford out with its results, and of course, really all about what they're saying on the Cybertruck, and we can talk about Cybertrucks in just a second.
That's very metaverse of you there, Miles. But I will hit the high points here on these notes I took on the subway ride in here. One, they now seem to be driving a strategy. They want to incentivize consumers less. In other words, we will likely be paying more or just higher prices for vehicles because they want to put less inventory on the lots of dealers. That is something very interesting to watch out of Ford. There's a change in tone by the likes of new Ford CEO Jim Farley. Number two, 120,000 pre-orders for the new Lightning electric F-150. That's up from 70,000 about a month ago. I have a deeper story on this now on Yahoo Finance. Number three, they're calling out a $2 billion commodities hit in the second half of this year versus the first half of this year. I would suppose that is in large part due to steel. And they also, too, see an easing of the semiconductor shortage this year. They're saying their business is, quote, spring-loaded because they're going to be getting more chips. Just
a quick question on those Lightning pre-orders. Does it work like Tesla where you put down $100 and you've got in your pre-order? What do people have to do to... What counts as a pre-order?
When Ford says they have a pre-order, it is not a Nikola pre-order. It is not a Lordstown pre-order. It's an actual order where somebody's putting actual cash down and they're ordering this truck and they will get it delivered, again, unlike a Lordstown and again, unlike a Nikola.